Jen Yang.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the Chinese community's contribution to New Zealand's resilient and diversified economy. Now, as we know, the Chinese immigrants came to New Zealand in the late 19th century, and many of them came to New Zealand as gold miners. One prominent figure at that time was Choi Siu Hoi. And Choi Siu Hoi built the world's first, the very first gold dredge in 1888. Now, another prominent person in those years was Chu Chong, and he, unlike many other gold miners, Chinese gold miners, he settled down in New Plymouth as a storekeeper, trading fungus. Basically, trading fungus, export fungus to China, and then sell Chinese imported goods. In those years, now fungus later on became what we call Taranaki wool because it was so valuable. In some years, the export of fungus in Taranaki actually exceeded the export of butter 5 times. So that was how important Chinese communities had been in terms of contributing to New Zealand economy. And also Chu Chang later on built butter factories, and he actually installed perhaps the first freezing equipment in New Zealand's butter factories. And today we have a much larger Chinese community, of course, and our contribution to the New Zealand economy, just like New Zealand economy itself, has been very diverse. Now, first of all, trade is an obvious example. Our trade with China has increased dramatically, and the Chinese community contribution is obvious. And tourism has contributed a lot to the New Zealand economy. It is now contributing 7% of our GDP, which is even bigger than the dairy industry. And it is growing fast, 7% last year. Last year, we had over 3 million visitors coming to New Zealand. And China, of course, is one of the most important markets. China is the second largest source of international visitors after Australia. In the year ended in July this year, over 310,000 Chinese visited New Zealand, which was an increase of over 29%. It's actually 29.5%. So that is how tourism industry has been important, and China market has been important, and also the Chinese community here in New Zealand has been making great contributions to our tourism industry. And the international education. International education is now worth $2.85 billion, or 1.33% of GDP, $2.85 billion, right? So, and creating over 30,000 jobs in New Zealand. Now, against this background, I was dismayed by Labour's accusation of Chinese property buyers. Now, this highlights that Labour's misunderstanding or lack of understanding of Chinese history in New Zealand. There are many sad stories about Chinese names in New Zealand. Well, in the 1860s, when Chinese gold miners came to New Zealand, many of them didn't speak English. They lost their names. They didn't have their own names. Now, there was one story, say, there was Chinese gold miner called Yu, but Yu was not his real name. It was simply because people called him, hey, you, come over. So Yu became his name. Now, another one, we could say, in Arrowtown, there is a Chinese settlement in Arrowtown. I visited Arrowtown settlement a few times. There's one there called Alam store. No one would miss Alam store. But Alam is not the proper Chinese name. R is used to call a nickname in China. So it's basically part of a nickname. But the sad story is, these people, these gold miners, passed away without a proper name. Today, things have changed. I'm here in New Zealand with a Chinese name, proper Chinese name. So this is New Zealand. This is today's New Zealand. This is a very tolerant, multicultural New Zealand. Thank you.